A lot of people are really mystified by admissions and the purpose of admissions consulting. What could be easier than writing a few essays about yourself, filling out a few forms, and sending it all in? And the fact is, there's a lot more. I want to talk a bit about what we do here at Apex Admissions Consulting and how we add value to your application. The fact is, everything you do on your application has to work in concert to present the best you possible. And that best you possible can vary even among different top schools, depending upon the story you want to tell, the way you want to tell it, and the story a particular admissions committee is looking to hear. What's your story? That's where we begin. Tell us your story. Tell us what you've done, where you are, where you're going, how it all ties together. And you might be surprised to find that your answers are often very general and very inadequate. And that's not a bad thing. The admissions process is all about growth. It's all about self-reflection, and it's delivering a comprehensive package. We begin talking about that growth, talking about where your story is and how it fits in to school selection. If you're coming off of a rejection, we'll start off with a rejection audit. Take a look at what went wrong, what went right, where the gaps were, and we'll reach out to the admissions committees to figure out maybe the feedback that they can provide on where you fell short. We'll help you find those programs that tie into the career you want, the skills you want to build. And once we have that research, once we have that story built together, then we begin deciding how to deploy it to greatest effect. This isn't about misrepresentation. It's all about putting together the most relevant pieces of your story in a way that's compelling and in a way that promotes your value to particular programs. Essays, interviews, recommendations, even the nitty-gritty way you fill out the forms on the application. These all come together, and they all need to dovetail to the same narrative that touches on all the temporal points. It's not, I really want to get into blank because it's a great program or because it does all this stuff for me. It's, I want to get into your program because I think I can add value here. This is of interest to me because I'm going here, because I know this, because even better, I don't know this, and I know what I don't know enough to know that your program can help me get to where I need to be. At some point with the top programs, it's not about test scores. It's not about ticking boxes and resumes. And if you're competing at that level, even with perfect marks, you're not going to make it, or you're not necessarily likely to make it. But rather, that's where the differentiation begins. That's where your character, your personality, what you believe, what you want to do, what your mission is, needs to be articulated. We help you put that together. We help you craft compelling essays, prepare for the most challenging interview questions, coach your recommenders so that they understand what it is that you're trying to do and why you're trying to do it, so that they can tell your story from the perspective of managers. You can tell your story from the perspective of you. Your application can tell your story from the perspective of your resumes and your skills and what others have said about you. So that when you sit down and speak to that admissions committee, they ask you questions not about your 3 best strengths, 3 best weaknesses, 3 worst weaknesses. They ask you about you. And there's no one more prepared to talk about you than you. That's what makes a good application. And notice, this isn't really about what we do. It's about how we walk by your side, because ultimately the application is yours. Hopefully, this is your first time applying to business school. Maybe you applied to college as well, if you remember it. But this is possibly your first, possibly your only big application. We do this scores, nay, hundreds of times per year. We learn about the individual programs, the personalities of the admissions committees. We understand what works and what doesn't. The best part of my day, many of my days, the best part of my year is getting emails saying, hey Mike, I just got into blank. I'm so excited. I can't wait. Thank you, Apex. I couldn't have done it without you and your team's help. What could be better or more fulfilling than that? There's something. Hey, Mike, I just got into blank, blank, blank. These two offered me money. I really want to do this one. I am so happy to have options among my top programs. I'll let you know what I decide. And then we have a conversation. And then they go have a think. And then a week or two later, an even better email. Hey, Mike, after consideration, I decided to go with. And I'm so excited. This is the right place for me. I never would have thought that this program was the best match, so I'm so happy that we took the time to really define my goals, to see how a program would tie into that, how my experience in the past is tied into that. And this is all the better when we're working with someone who's coming off of a bad round of admissions, who got the big zero over the course of a year, didn't get any of the programs they want, and are going in again. It's a greater challenge, but it's also much more fulfilling. And we get to help people along in their careers. And that's what Apex is all about. From the GMAT, the career coaching, and the admissions consulting, that's what we do. That's what we love. In order to put your best foot forward, avail yourself of our expertise. Give us a call, have a conversation with one of our admissions directors. I guarantee you'll learn things that you hadn't even considered that can add value to your application and ultimately lead to your acceptance.